fight to keep the Kings. It is a key day in the fight to keep the team right here in Sacramento. So after years of twists and turns in the Kings saga, both sides will present their case to 12 NBA owners.
That's right. And News 10's Nick Monticelli has been in New York City for the past several days. Good morning, Nick. It's a big day.
Good morning, Kiva and Kate. More importantly, it is freezing in New York City. We've got our big winter jackets on. We are standing in front of the St. Regis Hotel. In fact, here you can see Clay Bennett, the chairman of the relocation committee, coming inside of the St. Regis right now. He is also the owner of the Oklahoma City Thunder. He is the man who actually bought the Seattle Supersonics and moved them to Oklahoma City. So obviously one of the guys that they're going to be very keenly watching here over the next few days. So as you can see in front of the St. Regis, the media contingency is larger than anything New York City has seen here in front of the St. Regis in a very long time. We do know that Seattle Mayor Mike McGinn has already entered. We also know that the county chair up there in Seattle, Dow Constantine, has gone inside St. Regis. We do know that Commissioner Stern has not gone inside yet. And the Seattle contingency, their group, Chris Hansen and Steve Ballmer, will be making their presentation starting at about 9:30 or 10 o'clock this morning. And then we're going to assume they're going to go ahead and break for lunch. That's when Sacramento gets its turn with Mayor Kevin Johnson, Kunal Merchant, and all the other people, Daryl Steinberg, Senator Daryl Steinberg, coming here to make their pitch. The presentations are going to probably last almost all day, 4 hours, 5 hours each. Mayor Kevin Johnson and Kunal Merchant told me last night that they are more focused on keeping their presentation very short and very succinct and giving a lot of time for Q&A. You can see right now, this is a picture of KJ prepping inside of his hotel room. He's actually been here for a couple of days now, prepping and going over and fine-tuning every single aspect of their presentation. So we are going to be out here all day long looking for all these owners, all the key players in this. We're going to make sure that we bring you every single moment as it happens. But for now, we're live in New York City. Nick Monticelli, News 10.
Less than half of some 30, 31 owners. There are just 12 there today. Are they going to report back to the other owners for the 18th and 19th meeting?
That's the plan, yeah. These two committees, you've got the relocation and the finance committee. Commissioner Stern actually combined them into a super committee for this very reason, just for this issue, because they didn't want to have to go through two different presentations and two different recommendations. So this subcommittee of 12 owners will make a recommendation to the full Board of Governors, which meets inside of this hotel on April 18th and 19th. On the 19th, that is when we hope, we will finally hear exactly what the fate of the Kings will be.
Nick Monticelli, thank you so much. Stay warm out there.
We're going to try.
All right, now we're going to New York City and our story about keeping the Kings. It's a day in the fight to keep the team, of course, in Sacramento.
Yeah, after years of twists and turns in the Kings saga, both sides will present their case to 12 NBA owners.
And News 10's Brian May and Nick Monticelli, they're both live in New York City. And Brian, when we heard from Nick a few minutes ago, we saw a lot of people showing up there to the St. Regis.
And we have seen more since then, Kate and Kiva. Good morning from the streets of New York City. Yeah, we have seen NBA Commissioner David Stern walk through in just the last few minutes. We have seen Deputy NBA Commissioner Adam Silver walk through as well. And a lot of the NBA owners, there are 12 owners who sit on these two various committees. They're going to be listening to these two presentations. They've been coming through as well. So we are just I'll step out of the way, just kind of staked outside the St. Regis. The meetings have started, we are told, inside the St. Regis. And there's no real agenda for this other than the fact that we do know that Seattle is making their presentation this morning. The Sacramento delegation will make their presentation later this afternoon. They will break for lunch at some point in time. But again, these committees will be listening. They can ask questions. Not sure how long the presentations will last, but we do know there will probably be an extended Q&A session after each city gets done. So meetings inside now will continue to be outside. I can tell you no sign of the Maloof brothers, although we are told that they will be attending these meetings, and no sign of anyone really from the Sacramento delegation, although they weren't expected really to show up for the next hour or so while Seattle is inside right now. Still haven't seen the Seattle ownership group for that matter, but that's not to say that they weren't staying inside the hotel and already inside. And I will point out there are several entrances to this hotel. We kind of stake out the two main ones up front. But I know from previous years' experiences, the Maloofs know where the back entrances are to get inside here, guys.
Well, and Brian, another interesting development that we learned about yesterday is that Senator Pro Tem Daryl Steinberg is on his way to New York City. He's supposed to land there in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I think that's kind of a defensive mechanism for the Sacramento delegation. Keep in mind now, these 12 owners who sit on both the finance and the relocation committee, part of their job is to kind of poke holes, kick the tires, and make sure these two programs are fine. These two papers and terms that they're going to turn in. So Darrell Steinberg will be able to sit up, and if there's any questions about environmental issues, about where they're going to build the arena, anything like that, Darrell Steinberg can sit up there from a state standpoint, and you really can't go much higher than him as far as state politics. He'll be able to answer questions from the NBA or from anyone else inside there.
All right, Brian May, we look forward to hearing your reports after the presentations today. Thanks, Brian.
The fight over the Kings is playing out in New York City today for more than 2.5 hours now. Commissioner David Stern, as you see here, and a committee of NBA owners have been meeting to consider the sale and relocation of the team to Seattle. But right now, a group of investors is getting ready to make their case to reject the move to Seattle and keep the team in Sacramento. KCRA 3's Kevin Oliver reports from Manhattan with the latest on what could be a critical day for the basketball franchise.
Just after noon Eastern time, Mark Mastroff and Vivek Ranadive, two millionaire investors looking to buy the Kings and keep them in Sacramento, arrived at the St. Regis Hotel. They told reporters they were going to put their best foot forward.
We're excited and with the hope.
Before joining them for Sacramento's presentation, Mayor Kevin Johnson was joined by State Senate President Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg to make their pitch.
This is an important moment for the history of Sacramento. You know our message has been clear all along. We're playing to win.
The Maloofs avoided the crush of media around the entrance to the St. Regis Hotel, sliding in through a side door. And NBA Commissioner David Stern simply smiled but didn't answer questions as he headed into the closed-door meeting. The top elected official for King County said he was hopeful to bring the Kings to Seattle.
As a fan and a lifelong resident of King County, I am ready, along with hundreds of thousands of others, for our Sonics to come back.
But a dozen Kings fans turned up,
Sacramento!
along with a purple RV that's been touring the country, promoting Sacramento's fan-led effort to keep the Kings in Northern California under new ownership.
News 10's Brian May and Nick Monticelli are both in New York, and Nick joins us live now with more on what has happened so far today. Good to see you there, Nick.
Well, hi, Kiva. You know, everything in New York City is going exactly as planned. All of the players are now inside of this St. Regis Hotel here. In fact, we saw Mayor Kevin Johnson, Senate Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg, Vivek Ranadive, Mark Mastroff. Ron Burkle's also inside. We didn't see him. He's kind of elusive to the media. Also, Chris Hansen, Seattle Mayor McGinn, and those folks from the Seattle contingency are also inside. Their presentation is ongoing as we speak, if it's not already over. And we know Sacramento's will begin shortly after that. So we were told that Chris Hansen is going to have a press conference, or somebody from his team, and then Seattle or Sacramento will present, and then they'll have a press conference, and then Commissioner David Stern and Deputy Commissioner Adam Silver will have their own very own press conference, all in the basement of the St. Regis Hotel. Now, Darrell Steinberg and KJ stopped to talk to us momentarily. We couldn't get the video back to you guys in time, but they essentially said they are playing to win and kind of outlined those 3 points that they've been saying for a couple of weeks at this point. So the problem, though, is that while we're here, and while we know what presentations will be happening when, we don't know what the outcomes are going to be. There are 12 owners of the NBA inside. They are kind of forming a super committee from the relocation and the finance committees. They're going to be hearing these arguments and then making the decision, making a recommendation to the full Board of Governors that meet right back at this hotel on April 18th and 19th. And that is when we'll know what the final decision is. We probably, unfortunately, will not know until then, Kiva.
Well, Nick, okay, so we've heard that the magic number is 8, right? Sacramento needs 8 votes. If they're presenting to 12 of them today, we could really walk away today with 8 votes.
Well, you could, technically, but we're not going to know. Yes,
right.
There are 12 owners in there, and if 8 of them vote against it or have their minds made up and they don't say anything publicly, then yes, we could have it in the bag. But again, we won't know. So what it takes is 8 no votes to move the team, to sell the team. It's 23 yes votes. So it's basically Seattle needs 23 votes. Sacramento only needs 8. When you look at it from that point of view, the math is certainly on our side.
Right. No, absolutely. Okay, so today presentations will happen. Hopefully afterwards we will hear how they went. Sacramento Mayor Kevin Johnson seems very prepared and very confident too.
He does seem very confident, and I think some of that confidence comes from the fact that we've got 4 fantastic equity investors, i.e. whales. They've got a great arena plan now with the public subsidies that are coming forward. And we also have the Sacramento Kings fans in the community that have just been unbelievably supportive of the team. You've got Carmichael Dave there, the Playing to Win RV came through there. They're just realizing now they're on live TV. They're a little tired because they've been here all morning in the freezing New York City cold. But yeah, the Mayor KJ is obviously confident, and part of that confidence also comes from his relationships with the NBA owners. This is a guy who was a former point guard with the Phoenix Suns, an all-star in the NBA, has great ties to the NBA, to the commissioner, and to these owners, and now he's a politician. He's very good at lobbying and kind of getting what he wants. So he's got these guys on speed dial, can call up and say, hey, Mark Cuban, Michael Jordan, how are you guys planning on voting? And then he might have, you know, some reasons for that confidence going through the roof.
All right, quickly, Nick, we got to wrap this up, but we got to be fair and point out there is opposition to this. Some people would rather see the Kings leave if it means having to build that brand new arena.
Well, you know, and that's a good point. You've got a lot of people who are opposed to the use of the public subsidy to build the arena. But I haven't found a single person yet who says they want the Kings to leave. So from this vantage point, for this vote, everybody that I found anyway, everybody is supportive of Mayor KJ and trying to keep the team.
All right, Nick Monticelli, great reporting there from New York City. We'll see you back here on News 10 at 5.
All right, thanks, Kiva.
They did, but so did Seattle, and in the fight to keep the Kings, it is now entirely in the hands of NBA team owners. News 10's Nick Monticelli and Brian Mayer live in New York City tonight. Guys, what did we find out today, and well, how confident are both sides?
Well, I would say confidence is very high right now, Dale. Unfortunately, what we found out, I wouldn't say is sad news, but certainly disappointing news. Let's get straight to the video and give you an idea of what went on here inside of the St. Regis Hotel in New York City today. You've got Mayor Kevin Johnson walking in. You've got Vivek Ranadive, Mark Mastroff, and of course, Commissioner Stern and Deputy Commissioner Adam Silver. We also had a lot of fans on tap here in front of the St. Regis, and also the Playing to Win RV pulled in. You'll see that video in just a few moments. But more importantly, everything that happened inside of the subcommittee presentation, we had press conferences from everybody involved. We're going to play a mashup of what they had to say to give you a very good idea of what happened.
My thanks, of course, and kudos go to the mayor. Yep, you caught it.
The NBA does not want to move a team from one market to another.
What an amazing performance. Unbelievable. Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
you're the man. What can I say?
But what we did was try to make their decision a little bit easier. Number one, does this team deserve to stay in Sacramento? Absolutely. Here's why. And has our city gone above and beyond what was asked of it? And the answer is yes.
Seattle is doing very well economically. You know, we got the right kind of industries growing. We're optimistic. The ownership group's very enthusiastic.
But I want to tell you that this team here answered every one of the owner's questions, answered them confidently, and I think answered them satisfactorily.
So I can certainly tell you that the press conferences for Sacramento, very optimistic. They certainly had a much better tone than Seattle's, and it was very monotone. But like I said, some disappointing news coming out of today.
Well, the surprising and disappointing news is the one thing that we really didn't want to hear. Well, we didn't want to hear that the team was moving. But the other thing is, David Stern, when he held his press conference this afternoon, very much alluded to the fact that we may not have an answer when we come back here to New York for the Board of Governors in 2 weeks.
The committee concluded that this is really quite complex, even though we told them, and even though we've been in continual communication with them, we will continue to be in continual communication with the committee. We will have another meeting with the committee prior to the Board of Governors meeting, and it's not at all clear what our precise timeline is for a final determination here, because the most important thing is doing all of the work that has to be done.
Yeah, and that's the disappointing news. No one wants to see this drag on, but the Board of Governors has to get this right. They're going to take their time even now.
And Kings fans, if you're looking for some good news, I'm going to bring more of that to you on News 10 at 6. I'm going to tell you exactly why Vivek Ranadive was so confident and why I think, and why many think, that he has an upper hand in these meetings and his decision. Dale, Christina, back to you.
Hey guys, I know this might be a little too inside basketball, but who or what might determine if the Board of Governors is or is not going to make their decision on the 18th or the 19th? I mean, what if Mayor Johnson has 8 owners who are willing to block the sale to Seattle, and those guys are going, hey, come on, let's vote right here, right now, let's get it done.
You know what? I think right now it's just a matter of the Board of Governors has questions that they still have unanswered. They want answers before they make a decision on this. That's the real sticking point right now.
I thought it was interesting, too, how Stern said the committee seemed to be surprised at how complex this all was when they've been told for weeks that, look, you're looking at some complex issues here.
I think what you saw there is that the owners, they know the NBA inside and out, and they know what it takes to run a team, but I don't think what they realized is how Bold City was so well prepared and had so many different layers of things to give them. I think they said, oh, okay, this is a lot of information. We need to take a step back and really look at every single thing before we take a vote, and that's why it's going to be delayed, maybe.
I'll say this. I don't think the Board of Governors wants to make this decision. They have to, but they don't want to because there is no easy decision.
Well, I think it comes down to if one of these cities has a problem proving they're going to get their arena or not have their arena built on time, that city's not going to get it if they have any trouble, one of these cities building that arena in the next couple of years. Right. All right, guys, thanks. We'll see you later at 6.
Proud of everybody that represented Sacramento. I can truly say we had an A team who brought their A game.
We're optimistic. The ownership group's very enthusiastic.
The fight for the Kings, down to the wire, both Seattle and Sacramento in it to win it. Both sides saying they're proud, optimistic, and confident. Read into it what you will, but the NBA even wearing their purple and saying this.
Every owner seems to have a different question. We've got a fair amount of work to do.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Careyman. We'll start your only local newscast at 5:30 with Jim Crandall. Jim, both Sacramento and Seattle delegations in New York City today, giving it their best shot with the NBA. Tell us how it all played out.
Yeah, Sacramento and Seattle making their pitches to the league, saying we deserve the Kings in our town, and they all held press conferences then to talk about it. And even though nobody went into any great detail about their presentation, the group from here seemed very optimistic.
We had an A team who brought their A game. And I couldn't be more proud as a mayor, so I wanted to start out with that.
The Sacramento group clearly pleased with its presentation today. State Senator Darrell Steinberg getting a big hug from Mayor Johnson.
You know what? Now may be the time to tell our Wilt story. No, not yet. That's later. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you're the man. What can I say? I'm also humbled by the support that we've had from all of the fans of Sacramento.
The Seattle group spoke as well after its presentation to the NBA, talking about the new arena they plan to build and just in general, the greatness of Seattle.
First and foremost, we have a great city. I mean, Seattle is doing very well economically. You know, we got the right kind of industries growing.
Before the NBA commissioner left the press room today, he made it clear the league wants more information from both Sacramento and Seattle, and he also said the final decision may not come until after the Board of Governors meeting later this month.
And we made the case that there's only one fair and right way for this to conclude, and that is with victory for Sacramento and for California, and I feel very good about the case we made.
We've talked several times here in our news programs about the possibility that the NBA decision on the Kings could drag out past that Board of Governors meeting on the 18th and 19th of this month, and now that looks like a real possibility, even though the commissioner said today he would like it settled now.
The only question is, when is now?
When is now?
I don't know. And I guess all that we want to say about that is that we're doing it as fast as we collectively can together. And it may well slide past the board meeting, but I wouldn't expect it, if it does, to slide by a lot.
We have had Mark Dembski in New York at the St. Regis Hotel, downtown Manhattan, checking on Seattle, checking on Sacramento, and the commissioner. Here's Mark from New York.
That's right, the presentations have been made. Now the NBA must decide who actually gets to keep the Kings. You know what, though? Sacramento here in New York City, they had a lot more than just the 4 billionaires on their side. Sacramento!
Seattle that's asking for a mulligan, not Sacramento.
Thank you, guys. We gotta go.
I feel like
like the entire city of Sacramento is here right now. Hey, in case you were wondering, Seattle, no fan support whatsoever here in the Big Apple.
Mark Dembski in New York City. Eric, I guess Kings fans there, no Sonics fans. I guess we win that one, right?
Yeah, and if that says anything about a decision, we are on the right track. Jim, thank you.